All righty, what do we got? Oh, oh no, here we go again. More craziness on the interwebs, and the supplement craze is out of hand. And unfortunately, it strikes all over the interwebs. And am I against supplementation? Am I against like fish oil and, CoQ10 or magnesium or zinc or, the Barney basic things that have been tested hundreds, nay, even thousands of times by disinterested parties, peer-reviewed, repeatable results with control groups and, quantitative testing to determine if a thing works or not. I'm all for that type of testing and those types of studies. And then there's the other stuff. There are the ones that have one study and make some pretty fantastical claims, and I'm going to show you a lot of red flags. So let's get into what I'm talking about here. Alrighty, first off, we're going to start off, and this guy, Phil Faris, he posted this about an hour ago. This is my secret for staying active and pain-free at 75. Tried Dr H ReJoint and experienced joint and back relief in just days. Money back guarantee, you have nothing to lose but the ache. Actually, that's not true. Use a discount code. So automatically we see here that somebody is getting money from recommending a supplement. Okay, and I'm totally fine with that. There's lots of great supplement companies out there, but for that to happen and for, I think, anybody to take advantage of those things need to be proven that they work. In other words, there's peer-reviewed studies, articles, so on and so forth. The studies need to be reproducible, because just having one study is like, there's lots of flawed studies on the interwebs, and some of them make some very crazy claims and are absolutely wrong and untrue. And we're going to dive into this. Now, here we go. Okay. So Phil Faris posted that, and I took my time to pull up the study. And this is really interesting because I finished reading that study and going over it and looking at the testing protocols, the measurements and all this stuff. And there's a lot of problems with this study. The participants were basically surveyed before and after. They called it an interview in the study. And I use that term so loosely. It was a study. Yeah, some studies are better than others, and we'll get to this why. There was no other supporting evidence, blood panels, physical assessments, functional mobility or range of motion testing like you would with physical therapy and other things. Just self-reported info, which is the lowest data that you can get. Doesn't take into account, they picked people and the paper says, and I'm going to refer to it as a paper because really you'll see why, the study did in fact demonstrate a significant reduction in pain and improvements in functional mobility. But yet, a little later, like within a few paragraphs, it says, assessing the range of motion was not an objective of the current study, therefore was not measured for the study's patients. So how can you say there was a significant reduction in pain and improvements in functional mobility if functional mobility and assessing range of motion was not tested? That seems like functional mobility. And it kind of is. Conflicting statements within a few paragraphs, not even a few paragraphs. So that makes you go, that makes you look for that big giant red flag and fly that baby around. So no testing of functional range of motion to see if pain was increased, decreased, or stayed the same, but somehow they noted a significant improvement in functional mobility. Okay, how is that? Well, because they didn't test anything and it was just self-reported. Yeah, that's very problematic. That's not scientific. That's just asking somebody's opinion. Now, as somebody who has chronic pain, documented chronic pain from a number of injuries that I got in the military, there's quantitative testing. There's days and weeks where pain is less, and it can change. And then there's days and weeks and months where the pain is very, very bad. So this is very problematic in itself, because you're looking at people that are claiming to have pain, and what is the pain caused by? It said in the paper that there's 27 locations for pain, shoulder, hip, knees, whatever, in all of the participants. And that'll be very interesting when we get onto the number of participants. But yeah, is it a mechanical issue? Because you have lots of chronic pain, and there's pain that's attributed to mechanical issues that cannot be fixed with supplementation. There's also things dependent upon the activity of the individual. Did the individual before, did they incur, these pain issues, for an extended period of time? I mean, is it a chronic issue? Is it a documented chronic issue? Is it, this person has arthritis, this person has been diagnosed with this or that, which causes pain, and blah, blah, blah. None of that is included in the study. There is zero information on how or what these people had in regards to pain, or what was the cause of the pain. It was just self-reported. Oh, I'm in pain. Okay. And are you taking medication for the pain? Were you taking medication for the pain? What is your daily activity? Are you, have you done anything to aggravate the pain? And like I said, even with chronic pain, you can end up having good days and bad days, or good weeks and bad weeks. The participants. This is going to be interesting, because how many people were tested, and how long was this study? If you look at nutrition and supplementation, you will see a lot of studies, especially in the area of nutrition, of where it will be an extended a period of time with a large pool of participants, hundreds, even thousands of people. So that way, the more participants you have, the greater the accuracy of the results that you get. So, if you have 1,000 people, you can get more data and get more or get better results than you would with a lesser number, say like 100 or whatever. So in the length of the study, 60, 90 days, 6 months, a year, multiple years, a decade, the length of the study, and of course the testing protocols, and of course, you need to do an evaluation to see, were these pain issues even diagnosed? Or was it something wrong up in their heads and they think that they felt pain? Or, it's just, what was the pain attributed to? Was it attributed to, we just don't know. We just don't know. So anyway, yeah, how many people were in this study? Take a wild guess. Take a guess. Take a wild guess. 13. 13 patients, involving 27 self-reported pain sites. Not saying that each of those 13 patients had 27 sites of where they had pain. No, out of the total 13 patients, involved 27 self-reported pain sites altogether. So you got 2 knees. Well, both my knees hurt on one person. That's 2 right there. The next person, I got pain in my knees. Well, that's 4. Yeah, that 27 can get filled up pretty quick. The most common injury is a lower back injury, L4, L5. And, so that can radiate pain in the lower back, and can radiate pain in the hip, in the glute. It can also radiate pain into the thigh, the calf. So really, is that pain site a different pain site? Was that differentiated, or is it like sciatic pain, which, starts from usually a herniated disc or a mechanical issue, and then that pain radiates all the way down through the glute, through the thigh, the back of the leg, and into the foot? So was that taken into consideration, or just say, hey, well, I got pain in my hip, I got pain in my thigh, and pain in my calf and foot. Was that part of it? No, we don't have any of that information. So there's a lot of nebulous information. So how many people? 13 people. 13 people made it into the study, 5 males, 8 females, median age of 58 years. And it was conducted, you want to guess how long this study was? Go ahead, put it in the comments. Take your time, do this, put down how long you think this study was. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, folks, now let's reveal how long was this study? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Now, how did they test? That is another question. Testing is very important because that's how you're gaining the data that you're going to evaluate to see something, whether it works or not, or you get any type of results. And this was the visual analog scale for pain. So in other words, when you go into the doctor's office and you see that scale from 1 to 10 with the funny faces and the 10 being the worst, where the guy's, writhing in pain, that's what that scale is. And so they got with these 13 people before, said, what's your pain? 2 weeks of taking this natural supplements. They went through and said, okay, well, what's your pain level? And that was it. That was the study. That's very subjective. And again, like I said, there's days when I have good days. There's days when I have bad days. There's weeks where I have bad weeks, and there's weeks where I have good weeks in regards to pain. And I've got degenerative disc disease, spinal stenosis, arthritis. I also got herniated discs, chronic pain, radiculopathy. I got neuropathy. It's, because of the injuries that I incurred and documented, diagnosed. So, yeah, I'm very familiar with this analog scale for pain, but again, it's very subjective and it ebbs and flows, So there's that. Now, one of the big things we need to look at when we're talking about studies is, was this a double-blind study? Was there a control group where we can see a control group? I don't know. There was no way. Also, there was no double-blind study, so there was no way for this researcher to control the study and get a placebo effect percentage. In every reliable study that has been done, they have a controlled group. They'll do double-blind studies, so that way the participants don't know what they're getting. So in other words, if you tell somebody, hey, we're doing this study, people with chronic pain, and we're it's this groundbreaking supplement that relieves pain and so on and so forth, do you think there might be a little bit of a placebo effect? Yes. That's why they have control groups. That's why they have the placebos. And that's why they say, hey, you're going to get, they don't build it up. They don't ramp it up and say, hey, there's this new wonderful supplement, blah, blah, blah. And because that can have a great effect on the placebo effect. So in other words, they're going to talk these people into, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it's groundbreaking. We're doing the study of these 13 people over 2 weeks. So when no control group, you cannot get a placebo effect percentage. Now, when it comes to control group, this is very important. And in studies, there are 4 types of control groups: active control, placebo control with restrictions on supplementation, placebo control without supplementation restrictions, and placebo control with rescue repletion therapy. That's it. I mean, these things are very important. The first 2 types highlight discrete ethical issues. An active control trial limits the ability to detect a difference. Placebo-controlled trials that restrict supplementation potentially place subjects at risk of undue harm. The final 2, placebo control without supplementation restrictions or with rescue repletion therapy often offer potential solutions to these ethical challenges. Building on this, guidelines should be established and enforced on the use of placebo in supplementation studies. So what do we see in this Dr. H ReJoint study? We see 0 control groups. 0. None. Even the ones that have some ethical problems according to this, which is, let's see, where is this? Yeah, the use of placebo supplementation in studies, blah, blah, blah. There it is. Vitamin D research illustrates ethical quandary. So again, I know we're not talking about vitamin D, but in regards to placebo in supplementation studies, that information still stands and is factual. The actual study on control groups is what I just showed you, and there's numerous authors, numerous researchers, and so on and so forth. Matter of fact, it was published in 2018 by Leah A. Frame, Jonathan P. Fisher, Gail Geller, Lawrence Cheskin, and we can look up the information on these people, like Leah A. Frame, George Washington School of Medicine and Health Sciences, Jonathan P. Fisher, University of Chicago Pritzker School of Medicine, Gail Geller, Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, Baltimore, Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, Johns Hopkins Berman Institute of Bioethics, MD. You know, I mean, the other one is Johns Hopkins Bloomberg, Johns Hopkins Weight Management Center. Yeah, a lot of qualified individuals were conducting that research when it talks about control groups, and then how there's some ethical problems, obviously, from what we read in regards to supplementation, and in that case, vitamin D supplementation. Yeah. Now, here's the other interesting thing, because in that study, it says, in response to the Declaration of Helsinki stated in 2000 revision, stated that in any medical study, every patient, including those of a control group, the reason they say that is because that's usually a good study, should be assured of the best proven diagnostic and therapeutic method. So the people in this Dr. H ReJoint study, none of them were verified as having diagnosis for their pain. It's not mentioned anywhere in the paper. And therapeutic method, yeah, we don't see that. Elsewhere, it is also stated that the benefits, risks, burdens, and effectiveness of a new method should be tested against those of the best current prophylactic, diagnostic, and therapeutic methods. This does not exclude the use of placebo or no treatment in studies where no proven prophylactic, diagnostic, or therapeutic method exists. Yeah, it's morning here in Korea, so I'm not operating on all. But what we end up seeing is that control groups are very important, along with proven diagnostic methods and therapeutic methods, and benefits and burdens and all of that stuff, which are painfully absent from this Dr. H ReJoint study. I wonder why. So no control groups is basically a free-for-all claim to claim anything. I can take some information, and supplementation is probably one of the worst abused areas because they're not regulated by the FDA. They don't have to back up their claims. There's a lot of problems with, yeah, you can make claims, and self-reported claims and improvements it's probably the lowest form of proof that you can have, as we discussed. And yeah, with no control group, they totally, or I should say, Dr. H totally disregards any placebo effect out there. And that's very important because any study on medicine or supplementation or nutrition will always have a placebo effect percentage. That's why you have a control group, to rule that placebo effect out so you can actually get some real good information as to whether a product works or not. Now, another problem here is the author, Dr. H, determined the participants. So this is very important. So the guy who is selling the supplement line that claims to help you be pain-free and all of this stuff and good for your functioning and mobility or whatever, did the study. He picked 13 people. He did the study, which is basically a before and after interview of 2 weeks of taking these supplements. That's a biased study. That is biased. And it was not done by a disinterested party. Now, this is most likely because Dr. H doesn't want a control group because the placebo effect would ruin his results and it would be problematic. And then if he had other people, if he had a disinterested party, which they're out there and they will test your product or supplement and give you the results, why didn't he do that? Because that carries more weight than the person who is selling and made the supplements doing his own study. It's kind of like saying, I'm going to give myself a homework assignment and I'm going to grade it. You think there might be a little bit of biasness involved? Yeah, I think so. So in conclusion, this is a very flawed study. Now, I will say that this Dr. H ReJoint study it falls within the definition of being a study. But the problem is that there's a lot of huge red flags and there's lots of flawed studies that are out there. It's not like, oh, this is a study and therefore that means it's reliable. No, there's tens, hundreds, thousands of flawed studies exactly like this that don't have control groups, that don't have a large participant pool, that don't have quantitative testing or measuring systems. And this uses basically the lowest form of data that you can get with no control group. It is very biased, and mostly what you'll see on studies, matter of fact, let's go back to this placebo study, use of placebo and supplementation studies. Usually what you'll see when you get down, you read the background, the testing, research, quantitative testing, blah, 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 about the authors. Oh, there it is. Conflict of interest. The authors declare no conflict of interest. So in other words, the people who did this study were not associated with, say, this vitamin D research and supplementation. That carries a lot of weight, because if you have somebody that works for the company that makes the product and is selling the product and tests the product and comes up with no control groups and says, well, this is a great product, yeah, there's a conflict of interest. So any reliable study that you will see will have a conflict of interest statement where the authors say, hey, we don't have a conflict of interest in this product or whatever it is. However, the reason that that's there is they will actually be fact-checked and seen as to whether, okay, do you work for this company that's supplying this supplementation or this product and so on and so forth, and it will get checked. Are these research scientists, do they work for the company? Are they associated with the company in any form? And you can actually see studies that are done that will have a conflict of interest statement and say, yes, these people work for the company. So what that tells you is that there might be some biasness in that. Yes. So in conclusion, this is a very flawed study. And again, it barely meets the word or the definition of study. It is flawed and it's biased. It doesn't have a control group. No other studies were conducted by disinterested parties, confirming that Dr. H, the guy who makes and sells the supplement, that his claims are true and that they can reproduce those results. Now, this is very important. There's lots of studies out there that make claims, but if those studies are not reproducible, in other words, they're not peer-reviewed, or other scientists come in and say, hey, that's very interesting. And the scientists, researchers, guys are all geeks, and so they end up, yeah, well, let's test this. Let's increase the pool. And because these results are pretty incredible, and so we're going to continue on testing and see, we're going to have a greater pool of participants, we'll have a greater control group, we'll have, or we'll have a control group. But the fact that there is no control group and the fact that there was only 13 people over 2 weeks, it wasn't an extended period of time. So in other words, there is no efficacy in regards to whether this is a good and viable long-term treatment plan. It's not proven. Yeah, this is a huge red flag. So yeah, and the fact that this regimen is expensive, basically it's $69.99 per month. And on his website, and it should be noted, I tried looking it up on Amazon, and it's not available at Amazon. Matter of fact, let's see, where is it? Yeah, there it is right there. Yeah, Dr. ReJoint, currently unavailable. Only got how many ratings when it was available? 4? 4 ratings. Seriously? Really? 4 ratings. There was 13 people in the study that self-reported that they got improvements, and there's only 4 on Amazon that reviewed it and gave it 5 stars. I'm going to go back and look at Amazon because I want to see Dr. H ReJoint. Amazon. I'm just kind of curious to see. 5 stars. My hands are so much better. My husband's hands are better as well. We are recommending this formulation to many friends. That's kind of an odd thing. And this review was in 2017. Seriously. Oh, you got to see this, folks. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. So, yeah. Total ratings, 4 total ratings, 3 with reviews. So here it is. Reviewed in March 30th, 2017. My hands are so much better. My husband's hands are better as well. We are recommending this formulation to many friends. 2016, amazing product, fast acting. I was taking several medications. There was a fog. I was miserable and still in pain. A friend recommended. I was very skeptical. To my surprise, started feeling better by the 3rd day. Ordered another bottle, taking 60% better. Continued for another 2 months. Now taking the product for 3 months, I feel so much better. 85% improvement. I have an occasional bad day. Yeah, and then there's this one in 20. It's an amazing supplement. I struggled for about 10 years. Blah, blah, blah. All of that. And in these 3 people who left reviews, 4 total ratings with 3 reviews, gave it 5 stars. Seriously, really? That's what we're going to say? There was 13 people in the study. Only 3 reviews on Amazon back in 2017 and 2016. Yeah. First review, March 30th, 2017, April 27th, 2016, and January 4, 2017. All gave it 5 stars. Where, if this is such a great product, why are there only 3 reviews? I'm at a loss of words, which is very strange. Now, Phil seems to be a good guy, 75 years old. This guy, Phil Faris, he's active, and he says this is the secret from him being pain-free. Could there be a conflict of interest? Could there be a placebo effect? Absolutely. It was never determined what the placebo effect is, but there are numerous studies and instances or people who receive a placebo have been told this is a medication for this or that, or a supplementation for this and that, and the people feel better, and they actually got a sugar pill. So it could be that he's operating off of a placebo effect, which is very powerful. And, it does prove that there's mind over matter. But is there a conflict of interest with Phil Faris? Is he getting something out of this deal? Use discount code PHIL and get $10 off. So in other words, Phil is promoting this Dr H ReJoint and getting money if you use his coupon code for a study that was of 13 people, 2 weeks, self-reported, no control group, no range of motion testing to determine if you're pain-free. You can be pain-free, but that doesn't mean that increases your mobility and functioning. That was never determined within the 2-week self-reported period of before and after of taking these supplements. Can you wonder why I'm a little skeptical? Yeah, just a little skeptical there. So, now am I saying that being an affiliate and getting some money, not out of the person who's buying the product, usually it's built into the system where, like, if there's a product being sold and I'm an affiliate and you use a link or a discount code, then I'll get a certain percentage of that money, but it doesn't come out of your pocket. So whether you buy from me or not, you're still going to pay that same price. That's a totally legit way of, working and earning money and things like that. My problem is not with that. You can do coupon codes until the cows come home. There's people that actually their entire lives are supported by the fact that they do affiliate sales on Amazon and many, many other sites, which is totally fine. The problem is when you cite this study as being all that in a bag of chips with all the red flags that I just discussed, that, I don't know, for me, with what I know in regards to studies and research and things like that, especially when it comes to pain management, because I have done everything under the sun. I have done TENS units, I've done electrical stimulation of nerves, I have radiculopathy and neuropathy, I have chronic sciatic pain, so due to mechanical impingement on nerves in different parts of my body. I've got numbness and tingling down, limbs and legs and all the way down into my feet. It is documented, diagnosed, and I have done everything under the sun. I've tried the supplementations, I've tried the chiropractors, the kinesiologists, I've done Western medicine, acupuncture, the whole 9 yards, massage therapy. I've seen physical therapists, I've done traction, and the next step for me in regards to pain is surgery. And that's to replace discs in my back. And I'm at an age where I'm kind of at a crossroads. I could do it now and I'm in great health and that would benefit me. But then it's kind of like, do I really want to be out? And even the doctors, because doing back surgery, there is always a risk of complications, that I'll do everything that I can to not get those surgeries. But then as I get older, your recovery time and ability to recover from major surgeries becomes more problematic with age. So, yeah, as somebody who has tried everything under the sun, except I didn't use Dr H ReJoint because, I just, too many red flags and not enough proof. Be very careful on what you look at. And just because something has a study doesn't, when the guy who makes the product and is hyping the product and selling the product, tests the product and picks the people himself, 13 people, and the testing is a survey, self-reported, no control group, no placebo effect taken into account or even tested for. Yeah, that's just too many red flags for me. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Put your comments in the comment section down below, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.